Going across to the guests who are joining us, Syed Zafar of the BJP, National Spokesperson, Dr. Anshul Avijit from the Congress Party, Shantanu Guha Ray is Asia Editor, Central European News, Abhijit Majumdar, Consulting Editor, First Post, Neeja Chaudhary, Senior Journalist, all joining us on the show, and thank you for your time. Let me begin by Dr. Anshul Avijit. What's wrong if the Speaker is setting some parameters, some line, a red line that MPs should not cross? Because we have seen that this behavior certainly doesn't write home about the opposition's behavior too. In this case, it may be the Congress Party. But this is about setting benchmarks and setting a red line.
Sure. But the guilty party is someone else and somebody else is the accused. That is the deep irony of this government. Apart from its other dazzling achievements, this government has been consistent in throttling the voice of the opposition and therefore undermining all principles of parliamentary democracy. Apart from the other dazzling achievements like wrecking the economy and the high levels of inflation and bringing in this kind of faulty GST in which, milk and all are taxed, that is exactly what we wanted the discussion on. But there are provisions in the parliament, Shivani, which allow for these discussions. Just ask me a normal question, just off the cuff, apart from this, is that what is the most overriding question confronting this country at the moment? Leave aside everything else. It has to be price rise.
Okay.
Leave aside the social issues that we have. So we wanted a discussion on price rise, on GST, on the fact that this government has completely botched up everything and the government will not allow it.
But is this the way to get yourselves
this has
heard?
been a pattern.
Is this the way to get yourselves heard? Because let's say, I'm not taking this instance in isolation. At the start of my show, I have outlined similar poor behavior being exhibited in the name of protest, including the fact that marshals were physically assaulted. And as I mentioned, that was caught on camera not so long ago. So what is the end result of this if it is not some sort of upmanship that we will not let you conduct your business if you don't listen to us? I will take your point about not getting your debates and discussions, but those debates have indeed happened. And the government has maintained if you allow the House to run, those debates will happen. Like this, nothing happens.
You're letting the government off the hook. We have been consistently saying, no, there's been a consistent attempt, an unflinching attempt by this government to scuttle the voice of the opposition. You just have to look at another, which is a dazzling statistic, which has entered folklore, is the number of bills which have actually gone to a standing committee. The Prime Minister at the beginning of this session very graciously and very generously said that hame samvad chahiye aur vishleshan chahiye, barikiyon se vishleshan chahiye. We want analysis, a detailed analysis. How do you want it unless you don't send it to a standing committee? The government exhausts itself in the rhetoric, so it can do precisely the opposite in its actionable life in the parliament.
But that's a slightly different issue, Anshul, that I'm discussing. My question is, for example, take the instance of the so-called Pegasus issue, and there were other issues that also came to fore. Now, when the minister was actually responding to it, what happened? An opposition MP, snatched the papers out of his hands and tore them. Then what leg does the opposition have to stand on that you actually want a discussion and debate and you want answers from the government?
In the Rajya Sabha, if you're referring to 267, we've repeatedly sent that we want a discussion under 267. It can be done under the rules of the House, and repeatedly from 2016, I will quote you n number of instances when we wanted a discussion on GST, on Pegasus, on Rafale, on increasing price rise, and this has been denied by the government.
But all those discussions have indeed happened. Is it that the opposition is insisting you do it when we ask for, not even wait for a day or two? But I take your point to Zafar of the BJP, who is with us. Respond to this, Mr. Zafar, because the opposition repeatedly says it's not just the Congress party, but several other opposition parties say you don't run the House the way it is supposed to be, for what it is supposed to be, which is that the opposition should get its fair chance.
It is a blatant lie. First of all, every discussion is possible, and that indication has been given by the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, by none other than the Prime Minister himself, has indicated that we want to discuss every single issue what the opposition wants to discuss. Whatever you want to discuss, that business advisory committee, it can be decided there. You have a process to follow. But what they do not discuss, or whatever they get being discussed, they agree there. But when they come to the parliament, their only intention is to disrupt the parliament, and no business should be transacted, because if they are not able to let the parliament run, then they go outside and just see the tweet of the Congress leader Jairam Ramesh. Every day is claiming that we have not allowed the parliament to function. What does that mean? What is their intention? Their intention is that no discussion should take place, no debate should take place. Their intention is only to disrupt the parliament. They should be seen on the television that here they are disrupting the parliament, criticizing the government outside the parliament. They are discussing in the business advisory committee that yes, these are the issues we will discuss on the floor of the parliament. We want to debate on these issues. But when they come inside, their approach is very different. And rightfully, 4 of their MPs have been suspended, and those who do not want the parliament to run and disrupting the parliament, they should meet out the same fate, because it is very unfair on the part of opposition leaders, and they must understand that it is taxpayers' money. And unless business is transacted, unless the bill which needs to be debated and passed by the parliament, who will suffer? The people of this great country.
No, all of that is fine, but the opposition would also get the chance to get in. You're right. Obviously, this is a legislature house, and its primary business is to pass bills. But this is also the temple of democracy, where you need healthy debate.
I myself have been a parliamentarian. I had seen the approach, how some of the senior leaders of Congress party and other opposition leaders, they push their junior colleague to go towards the well and show placard, and make slogans. All these things are being done knowingly, purposely, deliberately, to ensure that parliament is not run.
Okay. I will give Anshul an opportunity to respond to that, but I just want to step away from our political guest for just 1 minute. You know, I want to elevate this debate into how Indian Parliament should be. Just how long, after 75 years of independence, can we have these scenes play out inside, our central government parliament?